Okay, so the last kind of variation is a joint variation. Okay, where you have y varying, it's kind of like a direct variation. Y varies jointly with x, but then also with the z. So it's kind of like a direct and an indirect, where you have to multiply on the same side. So let's look at an example. All right, we have y varies jointly. You just need to look for these keywords jointly. All right, and then you have three variables, x, y, x, and z. So I know it's going to be y varies jointly with x and z. Okay, and then I've got y equals 16. So I'm just going to substitute what I've got. Y is 16. Z is 2. X is 4. And then I don't know my constant. Right? So I can figure out my constant of variation by solving this equation. So I get 8k divided by 8. And so I get k equals 2. All right, so here's my joint variation. Right, there's my joint variation, and then you substitute. Right, so first step is just write that general equation, then substitute, and then solve, right, for k, right, get your constant of variation. And then I can use that to find my other values. So I'm going to substitute again, all right, so substitute again. It says I'm trying to find y, so that's my unknown. Oops, I guess it's actually right. So I'm going to find y, right, that's right here, that's my unknown. And then I'm going to substitute what was 2. 2 was my constant of variation. And y varied jointly with x, which was 8, and z, which was 3. So y is already by itself, and you just multiply these together, and you get y equals 48. Right, you can, just like before, you could also use, all right, or you could use a proportion, all right. So if we solve for k, you get k by itself, I would divide by xz, right, divide both sides by xz. So that goes away, and I get k equals y divided by xz, all right, which is what I have over here. K equals y over xz. All right. So, and again, it's kind of like you've got a direct variation here, and then you've also got kind of a inverse here. All right. So we've got, if we set these proportions equal to each other, right? Y over xz equals y over xz. I can substitute in just like before. All right. So I have y is 16, so that went here when this was true. All right. So these three numbers go together. Z was 2, and x is 5. All right. And then these three go together on the other side. So I'll find y, so that was my unknown, so that stays like that. But I do know x and z were 8 and 3, so they go on the bottom being multiplied together. All right, so this was 16. Well, if I cross multiply, I get 5 times 2 times y is 10y. Right, 5 times 2 is 10 times y. And then multiply all this together. 16 times 8 times 3 is 384. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 10. And so y equals 38.4. Right, just bring that decimal. Okay, very good. So another example, y varies jointly with x and z. So you're going to think, immediately write y varies jointly with x and z. So they're all in a line there. find y when x is 2 and z is 27. All right, so we could do it with the proportion. I think that's a good way to go. So y equals, y over xz equals y over xz. Okay. If I wanted to get that k by itself, I would divide by xz. All right, and then I'm going to substitute. So let's see. These all go together, right? They're all there together. So y is my unknown, x is 2, and z is 27. And then over here, yx, all right, so 192 for y, x is 8, and z is 6. So x and z on the bottom, y on the top. Okay, again, like the direct, y on the top, y over x. Okay. All right, so then I'm going to cross multiply, so I'll get 8 times 6 is 48 times y, so that would be 48y. And then I'll multiply all this together. So 2 times 27 times 192. So 2 times 27 times 192 is 10,368. 10,368. All right, divide by 48. Divide by 48. All right, so I get y equals that divided by, all right, so I'll just hit divided by 48. Get 216. All right, so my answer there for y is, and make sure you answer the question, what would find y? It's always good to circle, what am I trying to find, and make sure you find it. And sometimes they want to know the constant of variation. All right. If I wanted to know the constant of variation, I would say y equals constant of variation times xz, and substitute in what I know. So I know I've got these three together. I could substitute there 192, k, 8, and 6. Right? And then divide by 48. Right? Because that's 48. And divide by 48. So 192 divided by 48. 192 divided by 48 is 4. So my constant of variation there, k, is equal to 4. Alright, so if you know all an x and a y and a z, you can always find k, the constant of variation. Alright, excellent, very good. Actually, let me see if there's another, I can't remember if there is some practice. There are some practice problems, so go ahead and practice these and we'll come around and check.